on, Claire. Woo-hoo.
I was on grand until I was on the front of it. Okay, I'm going to leave this here just in case I forget where I'm going. So, my story begins in a remote farm in rural Australia. 16,500 acres as far as the eye could see, and I was living there. The nearest thing to me in terms of a shop was in this tiny, miserable town. If you can just imagine, like an Australian Mount Rath. I'm sorry. No, but worse. It was worse. And the only thing close to me was a pub 10 minutes down the road, and like it was like a remote road, like isolated in the middle of nowhere, but a lot of trucks went by, like truckers that were driving through Australia. And it was like the only thing I can compare it to is like, do you know, on the way to Carlow, you know, the Pedigree, the pub. So like it'd be like people would be flat out drinking, the car park would be full, and then by the end of the night the car park would be empty. Like it was really like it's really hard to put into words what it was like to experience every character in that pub. But I was there in the middle of nowhere to earn my visa, and as a lot of young Irish people do, they head over to Australia and with the dream to kind of travel. And I had been in Australia for a year, and I was like, I'm going to try this farm work thing and try and earn a visa for another year. And I applied to those jobs, and then I heard back from this one place, and it was like, we need you to work on our farm, minding our kids. But I was basically minding 4 lively children, herding cattle, moving sheep. Like I can't even describe what it was like. But if you had told the girls from Leash here, shout out to girls. But like if you had said to them that, like if someone had said to them that I would be sitting on a quad, comfortably cracking a whip, moving 4 bulls into an arena, they would have said you're full of shit. So, I was like, this is just another world. And like I encountered every animal you can imagine, and they had just moved on to this family had moved on to this farm, and they were like, we don't have many workers yet. And I was like, that's perfect. And it was long grass everywhere. So the little 4-year-old, who was the youngest of the kids that I was minding, like turned to me and said, it's just the brown snakes and the redback spiders you need to look out for. And I was like, yeah, that's grand. And I went back and I was Googling, and I was like, brown snakes, the second most deadliest in the world. Redback spiders, if that child had gotten bitten, she was gone. I was like, that's no. And I just didn't think I'd encounter them, but I saw them, and I saw a lot of them. I saw like black snakes, brown snakes, emus, kangaroos. Like at one stage there was a frog infestation. I was staying in like, it was like a prefab, you know in primary school when they're telling you you're going to move into a better building. It was like this whole thing, and like I had a rat infestation. Like initially I was like, do you know what, lads, I'm going to find myself. And I was talking to the girls and the lads back in Sydney, and I was like, I'm going to find myself. And then they were contacting me, and they were like, how are you getting on? And I was like, I still haven't found myself. That was my only thing. Like, and I remember, like, at first the kids were a bit apprehensive because, understandably, like, they hadn't met a Tammy from Portlaoise. They were like, but we found common ground in like the strangest of places, and the family gave me like this kind of, it was like a bus, like I was gonna say, it's like a people carrier car, but like it was like a bus. But I, drive the kids to school, do like jobs, like, and drop them in. But I was one of the days I was driving them, and it was a really long drive because you're in the middle of nowhere. And I just was looking through the CDs, and I pulled one out, and it had marker written on it, and I held it up, Ronan Keating. And I was like, like holy bread. Like, they were all sitting in the car, and they were like, "Go on, what? And I was like, do you know this man? I put the CD in and I started playing. They were all singing along. They were like, oh, your mum loves this. I was like, oh, this is great. I've never been such a big Ronan Keating fan in my life. I was singing along and it was gas. But we were really close to those kids because otherwise I would have been losing my mind. But the only thing that really kept me grounded, because I felt like at so many times, like I've never felt so isolated in my life. And I remember like just FaceTiming and messaging friends and family was the only thing that kind of kept me grounded and like I was like, it's 88 days, not that I was counting, but 88 days, I was like, I can do this. And I kept saying, you know, at the beginning I said, this is great for my independence, like it's going to make me a better person, I'm going to grow really strong from it. And I did it, and it was great, and I came out of it, and I had another year in Australia and I was like, I've earned this, I'm going to really enjoy it. And I went back to Sydney and I just felt this really strong feeling in me that like I really wanted to come back to Ireland, and I kind of ignored it and I was like, well, you've earned this, like, you know, like the crack is here, it's great, like, but there was just something missing. And I decided then later on in the year, I was like, I'm going to move home. And around this time, November last year, I moved home and I was like, I'm going to put myself outside of my comfort zone and do Shanachie in Portlaoise. And it was such a... Hello Portlaoise, big up Portlaoise. And I was like, when I arrived, I was like, why the hell am I doing this? I'm seeing people I haven't seen in years. But then it's like this feeling of like mutual appreciation and understanding, and like people care in the room, like it's just, you know, you wouldn't get this in other settings. And you never really know what anyone else is going through, and you might get glimpses when people are up here talking, but I was like, okay, that's a great start to this new chapter. I moved up to Dublin, found a really nice job, and things were looking well, and then a few months into that, my whole world turns upside down, and out of the blue, our family, who are really close, found out that my mum has terminal cancer. And this kind of news like shook us all, understandably, but shout out to you, ma'am. And we were like our you know, the biggest person in our family, like our ray of hope, we were just so worried. And like it makes you kind of stop and be like, I need to be there for my family, they need me, I need them just as much as they need me. And going back to the whole theme of togetherness, it's like, hold on, I'm trying to remember what I had written down, but it's like, it's what matters. Like suddenly all my ideas of Australia and independence and finding myself seemed so hollow when I realised like what was going on at home and what was going on with other people. And like especially this time of year, it makes you stop and think and appreciate it. And like this Christmas, there's nothing I want more than togetherness. It's not about the things we get, and as cheesy as it sounds, that's all I need, and probably a mezza pizza after this. So, thank you very much.